to speak in support of this amendment. And Madam Speaker, I do so with nostalgia because I remember that as stated in the statement of objects and reasons on the memorandum of this bill, the principal object of this bill is to amend Section 6 of the Election Act, Offences Act of 2016. Why with nostalgia? Is because, Mr. Speaker, I remember this act, when we enacted it, it was the industry of a joint committee of both the Senate and the National Assembly in 2016. And I sat on that committee, Madam Speaker. I remember we pitched in a hotel for almost 2 weeks. Our chairs were Honorable James Orengo and Kreitu Murungi. Those were the co-chairs. And we did a very good job. That it has served us well, but again exposed the need for us to make further amendments, carries true.
Order, Honorable Senator Tobiko and team, can you consult in law notes, please? Tones, please.
Madam Speaker, thank you. Carries true what the late former Vice President of Kenya, Michael Kijana Wamalwa, told the country, namely that even in the best of ideas, there's always time and room for those ideas to yield ground to better ideas. I therefore support these amendments and want to insist that never should we allow the outcome of the election, of any election in this country, Madam Speaker, to be decided by the people who count votes and announce the results. The outcome must be decided by the people who vote. And Madam Speaker, I can speak with a degree of authority. I was looking at the book by the Honorable Millie Odhiambo, yes, about rigging or being rigged out. And in a way I was thinking about myself because I have gone through it all. I remember I won an election fairly and squarely in 2007. And because of lack of this kind of scrutiny, I was returned to a by-election. And the grounds, Madam Speaker, were that a brother of my opponent sat in a corner in a polling station, and he was recording what he thought was the result. And IEBC was doing its work. So when we went to court, I was accused, IEBC was co-accused, well, not really accused, but I was a respondent and they were co-respondents. The court just decided to agree with the guy who was taking some funny notes in a corner. And I was returned to an election. I remember Dr. Oburu Odinga and the former Prime Minister, Raila Odinga, and his deputy, Musalia Mudavadi, and Minister then Oparanya, and Minister then Otuoma, and Minister then AJAABU, and Minister then Anyang' Nyong'o. They all converged in Ekolomani just to teach me a lesson. And it was very exciting that when we defeated them, we now widened the margin. So these things, we have to continue tightening them. But then what a shame. I have seen elections in Ghana, Madam Speaker. I don't know, you are very experienced in these things. I've seen elections in Ghana. And you see an elections official carrying results on their heads in a carton going to some central place where they return the things, and nothing happens to them, and people believe in the outcome. What is wrong with our country? That even with this act that we made in 2016, we still must tighten and tighten and tighten even further. There is something wrong about our very integrity as individuals who conduct elections, as individuals who present our names as candidates. We do not believe in anything. So much so that I'm yet, Madam Speaker, I'm yet to meet a single person who lost an election who says that I lost an election. They always say, Madam Speaker, quote unquote, kura yangu iliibiwa. I've never understood. And therefore, Madam Speaker, the amendments must ensure that as the courts decided that the election ends at the polling station, I want to support this because this is a march towards tightening that ending to truly end at polling stations. What do I mean, Madam Speaker? Most of the polling stations, IEBC has structured them so that around about 500 people vote at a stream, presided over by a presiding officer. So how it comes to pass in this country that counting 500 votes can take 2-3 days, I've never understood. I've even done an exercise, Madam Speaker, of supposing I was a presiding officer and there are 3 candidates and they have all benefited from these 500 voters. And you say, hold this for candidate 1, candidate 2, candidate 3. The process of dishing out, this one got this, this one got this, this one got this, should not take more than 30 minutes. And then the actual counting should not take more than 5 minutes, because to count from 1 up to 500, you don't need hours. So you'll find, Madam Speaker, this counting has been done, and the election officials in the polling station, they'll keep on sitting there, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. By that time, all agents have become fatigued, they are asleep, and now the people who count the votes start deciding the outcome. I think I want to find a way, innovative, whereby we can demand, where we, by law, that announcement by a presiding officer should be within a particular time frame. At the county election, Madam Speaker, I normally get my results after 4 days. 4 days. So when you ask the county returning officer, he tells you, I'm still tallying. They'll move from that point to this point. I remember when I lost my election, which was very surprising. It's very difficult for me to lose an election in Kakamega, and the speaker knows this. So when I lost the election in 2017, I was so surprised. So I decided to create my own IBC. In 2022, Madam Speaker, because I had created my own tallying center, full-fledged, within 8 hours after voting, I already knew the outcome of my election. But I had to wait for 4 days for the returning officer to say that I'm the winner. And this was with a lot of experience, Madam Speaker, whereby, and I believe Senator Eddie Kicheru has this experience also. He ran into similar turbulent clouds, Madam Speaker. When now the returning officer, and colleagues, you better take this as your own experience, put up your own tallying center. When they discover that you have got your own tallying center, they then respect you. Because for every polling station you have a result, for every constituency you have a result, they become cautious. I remember in Likuyani constituency, Madam Speaker, in 2022, a whopping 6,000 votes had been removed. So we just called the returning officer, told him, look, even if you must steal, we know we have won. We can leave you these 6,000 votes and we shall still win. What you do. So this law amendment is crucial. 6D speaks to the offense of willfully preventing any person from voting at the polling station at which they know or have reasonable cause to believe such a person is entitled to vote. This is a very common thing. Madam Speaker, if you go to a populous polling station like Khaega in Shinyalu, or Malinya in Ikolomani, or Muliro Gardens in Urambe, if you are very popular there, then what they do, you'll go, you'll find women there who don't know how to read and write, probably 10 of them, sometimes more. They are seated there, have been sitting there from 6. They've been told you're not going to vote for some strange reason. So this offense that has been put there is to put in check some presiding officers who become rogue. You talk to the police, they look this side. You talk to those kinds of things must be addressed. Madam Speaker, before I end, there was a very bad experience in Kakamega and in Mombasa in 2022, where an election was postponed by IEBC. The governor's election was just postponed. In Mombasa, in Kakamega, it was postponed. So, it could not make sense to us. How would you postpone an election? So people have gone to vote. They find the election is not taking place. And some people get so disgusted, they go back home without voting. And therefore that affects the other 5 elections, since you had only nullified. Shall I say nullified? No, you had postponed only one election. We should make it impossible for IEBC to postpone any election for any reason unless it is a question of a disaster. And if it is a disaster, Madam Speaker, how can a disaster affect only one election out of 6? If there is a storm, it should affect all the 6. So that brings my contribution to the end, but there's also this offense of a presiding officer or an official willfully rejecting or refusing to count any ballot paper which they know or have reasonable cause to believe is validly cast, or any candidate in accordance with the provisions of such a written law. This one, it is curing something which actually happens in every election. And Madam Speaker, I know you are going to be a candidate, not under affirmative action, but a straight candidate. You better take this one very seriously. The ballot is cost. And so it goes, Catherine Muma, Catherine Muma, Catherine Muma. Then the returning officer, the presiding officer, just refuses to admit that vote as being yours. Now, when you are new in the process, Madam Speaker, and you think you are winning, when they put aside 6, when they put aside 10, you don't take it seriously because you are excited. What you don't know, that if this thing is being repeated, like in Kakamega where I've got 2,000 polling stations, if they knock out 10 slowly like that, you're talking about losing 20,000 votes that had been cast in your favor. So I love this amendment, and I want to congratulate Senator Cheriot, and I think, Honorable Ichungwa, and His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka, because, Madam Speaker, they were the ones who were the co-chairs for the national dialogue that has birthed these amendments. I support. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Faki.
Asante Bi Speaker kwa kunipa fursa hii pia kuchangia mswada wa marekebisho ya sheria ya makosa ya uchaguzi. Mheshimiwa Speaker, sheria hii na marekebisho haya yamekuja kupitia kwa ile kamati ya NADCO, National Dialogue Committee, ambayo hapa katika bunge letu la Senate iliwakilishwa na Senator Cheriot ambaye ni kiongozi wa wengi, na vile vile pia Commissioner Senator Okongo Mogeni ambaye alikuwa anawakilisha upande wa wachache. Mheshimiwa Speaker, ni muhimu kwamba sheria zetu za uchaguzi zipigwe msasa mara kwa mara, kwa sababu kuna mambo yanayoibuka katika uchaguzi ambayo mengine labda hayakuweza kuangaziwa katika sheria ilipoundwa. Kwa mfano, Mheshimiwa Speaker, swala la kuwa na vituo ghushi vya uchaguzi ambapo matokeo unaambiwa yanatoka katika kituo hichi, lakini katika orodha ya vituo ambavyo vimewekwa katika orodha rasmi ya gazeti havimo katika orodha hiyo. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Speaker, hii sheria itaharamisha vituo vyovyote ambavyo vyafanya uchaguzi wakati haviko katika gazeti rasmi ambalo limegusia na kutaja vituo ambavyo vitatumika katika masuala ya uchaguzi. Mheshimiwa Speaker, swala la pili ni swala la wale wanaosimamia uchaguzi. Na Mheshimiwa Speaker, kuna mabarobaro wawili hapa ambao wanacheka kwa sauti. Ningeomba wacheka kwa sauti za chini kwa sababu mzee anazungumza, kwa hivyo ni muhimu. Kwa Mheshimiwa Speaker, nasema kwa
Senators, please consult in low tones, Let's not disrupt.
Tunasema Mheshimiwa Speaker kwamba wale wanaosimamia uchaguzi pia sasa lazima sheria iwaangazie kwamba makosa wanayofanya, ukiukaji wa sheria unaofanyika katika wakati wa uchaguzi, Mheshimiwa Speaker, ni muhimu wale wanaohusika pia wapelekwe mahakamani na waweze kuhukumiwa kwa makosa kama hayo. Mheshimiwa Speaker, haiwezekani kwamba msimamizi wa uchaguzi akatae kuhesabu kura halali ambayo imepigwa na mwananchi wa Kenya. Mheshimiwa Speaker, haifai ama haiwezekani msimamizi wa uchaguzi atangaze mtu aliyeshindwa kuwa mshindi na asichukuliwe hatua yoyote na sheria. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Speaker, sheria hii itasaidia pia kuweza kuchukulia hatua ama kuwapeleka kwenye sheria wale ambao watapeleka matokeo ambao si sawa katika uchaguzi ambao utakuwa umefanyika katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. Mheshimiwa Speaker, kwa hayo masuala mawili mimi naunga mkono marekebisho haya ya sheria ya uchaguzi ya makosa ya uchaguzi. Asante Bi Speaker.
Senator Eddie.